Parents of Reddit, what's the best child hack you've figured out to make your life as a parent easier? Not a parent, but a daycare worker. And I learned this through Reddit. If a child is having a meltdown, ask what color their shoes, shirts, pants, whatever clothing they're wearing are. This distracts the child long enough to stop them in the midst of their meltdown because they haven't thought about what they are wearing. I used this trick twice on a kid today who was just having a terrible day. Calmed them right down. To get a newborn to burp, sit them on your knee, holding them under their armpits, and move their upper bodies in a circle several times. Like a reverse hula move, I guess. I learned it from a neonatal nurse. And it's almost infallible. So much faster and more reliable than regular burping. When mine were younger, say 3 or 4, and it was close to time to stop playing at the park or in the pool, I always gave them plenty of warning using a concrete timeline that they could understand. Instead of saying we're leaving soon or 5 more minutes, I would tell them something like, okay, let me see you jump in the pool. 7 more jumps and we're leaving. Sometimes the number was higher, but never less than 5. Less than 5 was always met with come on. Just 1 more. Which usually wasn't allowed. 7 or more was always such a big number that they seemed to get their fill and were ready to go when it was time. Edit. Is that my first ever internet bling? I'm honored. Thank you. When my kids were little, my wife worked at a health club and I would take the kids swimming in the evening. We'd always pack their PJs for their clothes they'd change into after swimming. That way, they got out of the pool, showered, and changed into pajamas. They didn't always go to bed right when we got home, but they were always ready for bed when we got home. It was my wife's idea. Dennis is where I teach them restaurant etiquette. Zero pressure and light on the wallet. Learn to say thank you and I'm sorry to them. It makes you closer and helps your relationship with them no matter what age. Experiences are better than things. Waking up before them makes the day a lot easier. Find a way to see them when you're driving. The best advice I ever received as a parent. It's all about the long game. Work really hard now to mold them into decent and intelligent little people and you can worry less as they turn into more responsible, respectful teens, young adults. It's a way to ensure quieter years later. If you have a hard time getting them to eat their vegetables, give them before the dinner because that's when they are hungry and will eat almost anything. I had 3 kids very close in age. At one point I assigned them each a day of the week. They each got 2 and Sunday was the leftover, whatever the question was. The answer was, whose day is it? Who gets to go first? Who gets to ride in the front? Who has to take their bath first? I saved so many arguments with this. Saw one on Reddit where if you want to enjoy some time undisturbed, tell your kids that you're taking a nap and when you wake up all of you are going to do chores together. They'll want to let you sleep as long as possible to avoid doing housework. So they'll leave you alone to actually nap or do other things like read. Be mindful of how you phrase questions. Example. Instead of do you want a hot dog for supper? Comma. Ask what do you want on your hot dog? If your kid's a DCK, it won't matter. But it will help in most situations. I told my kid her ears turn red when she tells a lie. Now she covers her ears when she lies. She is almost 7 and it still works. When your kid sees something they want like a toy or game and you don't want to buy it, tell them to put it on the list. If they're the type of kid that will follow through, then you have a handy list for Christmas or birthdays. If not, then they'll forget about it. Helps avoid arguments in the store because you aren't really saying no. Let your baby watch you fall asleep. If it's their bedtime, don't play on your phone or read a book. They are following your lead. So be boring. Close your eyes. And be still and quiet. And they will learn too. No, a parent. But when I was a child, my mom would hide her 4 glass birds, little sculptures she had, around the house. My sister and I had to look for them. We had to be very careful while looking so we didn't break them. If we broke one, we lost. If we left drawers door cabinets open, we lost. You would think that we could tie and each find 2 birds. But it never happened. We would go to mom when we gave up, and she would hide them all over again. It wasn't until I was an adult did I realize that she never hid a 4th bird. If they are cranky, put them in water. I have teenagers. This is still the method that I use. Even having them wash their hands or face does wonders. To be fair, I do it with my husband too. So really, I guess it's just works for humans. I feel like you're the mom who carries a small spray bottle in her purse. My kids didn't understand the difference between different days. For example, we'll go to the store in 3 days. So my husband started calling it 6 sleeps. Now we say we'll go to the store in 3 sleeps. Also, offer a choice. Do you want to put your shoes on first or brush your hair first? It short circuits their tendency to fight you and makes them feel like they're making their own decisions. Which they are. Make sure the options listed are ones you're okay with though. If you have a toddler who likes to get naked when they are supposed to be sleeping, you can cut the feet off of footy pajamas and put them on them backwards, with the zipper on their back, and then they won't be able to get them off. Baby straitjacket, TM. My wife and I came up with a short unique whistle that both kids knew meant come here to us. Works in malls, water parks, or just to come in and clean up for dinner. Fellow parents were amazed by this. Teach them early. My wife and I use a really loud and obnoxious bird call. Once we got past the embarrassment of cawing loud in public, it became a great way to find each other, similar to your whistle. Lassane bedding. Waterproof sheet. Sheet. Waterproof sheet. Sheet. No changing wet beds in the night. Just pull off top layer and change child. Not a parent but babysitting. I had 2 tricks. Semicolon. Always count down time to prevent surprises. No matter how much of a routine it is. 15 minutes until pajama time. 10 minutes until brush teeth. 5 minutes until bedtime. Helps ease them into the shit they hate so they don't get blindsided by it while they're having fun. Semicolon. The second trick was to turn anything I could into a game if I got the sense they were wanting to be difficult. I babysat 3 kids for a few years, and anytime they started to get tantrumy about brushing their teeth, we'd play a game. I brush the oldest kid's teeth. The oldest one brushes the middle kid's teeth. The middle kid brushes the youngest. And the youngest brushes mine. Cause I can touch up the worst job later. By the end of it, everyone is laughing and having a good time. Or we make teams and race. Me and the youngest versus the 2 older kids. You don't always have the time and energy, but on the rare occasions you do, you may as well have a bit of fun. Best advice we ever got from our doctor: babies don't have a good circadian rhythm and rely on us to set one for them. Pick a time that you're going to go to quiet time, basically turn out lights, TV off and or volume down. Do quiet activities. Sit still, etc. We did this with our first child and it became the center of our evening routine. Now my son is 3 and knows that when the clock says 7:00 it means settle down time and helps to turn the lights out. A routine is key. Our kids do great transitioning from one setting to another, like home and school, on vacation, etc. I mean, they're little a-hole toddlers a lot of the time. But that's expected with toddlers. Have a baby who turns away as you're about to wipe their face? Wipe your own face first. The non-verbal communication allows the baby to understand what's happening. Might not work at first, but keep at it. The child will start to let you wipe. Let them be messy sometimes. I'm a neat freak, so this was hard for me at first. Doesn't matter what kind of home you have. Just put them in the tub with those bath paints. Or tape some trash bags to a kid table or the ground and let them paint. Don't worry about the mess. They will have fun and it's building good memories. This one is kind of mean. But when one of my kids wants something I'm eating, I just say, you don't like this. Remember? Bubbles. Seriously magical. For especially long car rides or traffic or just for fun. Keep some bubbles up front. Cuff holder ideally. Turn on the AC or fan. Hold bubble wand up and instant stream of happiness. I've found myself doing this alone in cranky traffic jams and open the windows to spread the mirth and glee. Also, have tiny bubble bottles, like wedding favor sized, and easy to share with others in need out and about. 1. Any food they didn't like was labeled turkey. They are 12 and 8 and only just realized fish isn't turkey. They would always wonder why turkey has so many different flavors and how they like some but not others. IA. 2. Starting as soon as they can walk. Ask for help for just about everything. And they will help and enjoy being needed. And when they do tasks and ask for help, help them. They will always help if you teach them to do it as a family instead of an individual task. Clean house. Yes. Please. 3. Biggest one of all, listen to them. Everything they say to you is really important to them. No matter how stupid it is. And learn what they like. Even if it's boring. This comes in handy when they're older. Teach your kids to read very early. Read to them as soon as you bring them home. But really focus at age 2. Start making them read back to you at 3. Make it fun. When you give a kid the love of reading at an early age, the rest of school is usually a cakewalk. They are ahead of the curve in many ways. And if they love reading, they always have something to do. And if you buy them a book when they are good and make a reward out of it, you don't need to wait for another Harry Potter to come out to get them to read. My mother did it with her children. I did it with mine. It works. Teach them how to express their feelings and validate them when they do. When my oldest, now 5, was a toddler, we started giving him a 5-minute warning for bed because otherwise he would lose his mind. 5-minute warning can be 5 minutes or an hour. But now the kids are way more mentally prepared when we tell them it's time for bed, and it's a breeze 99% of the time. When you go grocery shopping with a small child, park near the cart corral. You don't have to play the awkward game of choosing to leave your child in the cart or the car when returning the cart. Make them feel a sense of control by giving reasonable choices. Do you want to walk to bed or be carried? Do you want to wear the blue shoes or the red ones? Would you like cheese or a banana for snack? Also, baby sign language. Do that sh-t. Draw semicircles on the insides of their shoes that match up to make a full circle when the shoes are on the right side of each other. Listen to them. Seriously. They have a lot of good ideas. I'm not a parent, but I work in a daycare and I've found this solves a lot of problems. If a kid tries to get my attention while I'm doing something, I usually go just a second. Aim. I just am going to finish this and then I'll listen to you. Okay? They usually wait patiently. Even if most of the time it's something that an adult wouldn't necessarily find important or worth saying. I always give them my full attention. Kids get so happy when people listen. And it's also a trust thing. If kids feel like they can tell you anything, you know they'll come to you with something important. Let's have McDonald's every night. You can buy candy before picking them up from school, and if you eat it very fast, you don't have to share. Whenever my son goes to have a snack or a treat, I tell him, let me taste it to make sure it's not poison. So free bites of snacks is cool. Before anyone gets too crazy. He knows it's not real and has actually started taking my food to make sure it's not poison. So it worked for a while, now it has begun to backfire. Like most parenting tricks. Basic sign language. Eat milk water. During the years their bedtime is 8 PM or earlier. Put away your laptop and phone and just say yes to anything they want to play. Much easier for everyone. Put sunscreen on at home. Before you get to the beach pool park. They know we're not going anywhere till it's on. Saves me from the scramble at the destination because they are always too excited to hold still and I'm in a rush. So it's not a thorough job. Sunscreen takes 20 minutes to kick in anyway. Don't chew your kids out in front of other people. Pull them aside and talk to them in private. It helps them to trust you and it helps them to save face in front of others. It's a win-win. Put clear packaging tape over the speaker holes of toys that make noise play songs. It lets the toy operate with a fraction of its actual volume. Parents to assist her when the sirens were a wall. If they want more of something, offer 2 choices. 5 more minutes at the park or 10. 1 more bedtime story or 2. Make them choose the limit from your max and a lesser choice. As long as they understand numbers, they always go with the max and then they feel like they have some agency in the choice to stop. I use my toddler's fierce independence as a weapon against him. When he refuses to do something, like clean up, I threaten to do it for him. His boiling rage at the thought of anyone helping him blinds him and he does whatever I told him to before I have a chance to steal his glory. Not a parent but a preschool teacher. If a certain child doesn't want to wear their jacket while outside, we'll usually just slip it on backwards and zip it up the back. It's harder for them to get off. They always think it's so silly. I told my son that I was allergic to whining. Anytime he started whining, I did a bunch of fake sneezing and he would apologize immediately and stop being whinny. It worked for most of elementary school. When I was little, I used to pick flowers for my mother. But the neighbors hated it because I picked the flowers from their gardens. My late grandmother then taught me to pick dandelions for my mother. And the problem never came up again. You know the Facebook picture going around of the kid in a massive box, coloring with crayons on the walls and floor of the box? That shit works. Keeps my 2-year-old entertained for hours. Not a parent, but an uncle helping raise a niece and nephew. For small tasks like getting dressed or if they are being difficult getting buckled into their car seats, I generally try to hype them up and act as excited as when I play games with them. And then clap and cheer when we're done. It's silly but effective. And I get a kick out of the 1-year-old yelling yay. Shoes. When I get her shoes on. I don't know if this counts because it isn't behavioral and it's primarily for little kids, but have ducking backups of everything and supplies stashed everywhere. Kid has a special lovey? Buy like 4. Because your animals or whatever is going to discontinue it. And it will rip. The kid will barf on it in the middle of the night. Lose it. Etc. Boom. Prepared. Tons of spare sheets, jammies, and blankets. Again BC of middle of the night barfing. Spare clothes for all kids in the car. And napkins, wipes. Plastic grocery bags. Hell. Put plastic grocery bags in your kids' rooms if they're under 4. Just up. Trust me on this one. Source. When my kids disagree or are arguing, I will give them a forced dilemma. For example, we are going to dinner and my daughter wants to go to restaurant A and my son wants to go to restaurant B. We decide to go to restaurant B but tell my daughter that she gets to pick where everyone sits. Semicolon. For your information, it works on co-workers fairly well too. Me, who isn't a parent. Take notes. Take notes. If you have treats, give them to one child to hand out to the others. Siblings have a lot of negative interactions. There's jealousy, competition for resources, perceived injustices. You have to create opportunities for them to have positive interactions. The simplest way of doing this is with treats. If you're passing out cookies, give them both to child 1 and say, "Here, this one's for you," and take the other to your sister. Obviously you need to be right there to see that they do it. Lol. There's nothing nicer than to see a kid saying to another kid, "Here, this is for you," and the other kid saying thanks. It warms your heart. And they actually really enjoy it. 2. Same goes with gifts. Good news, etc. Hello. Tell your little brother we're going to the beach tomorrow, so that kind of thing. They'll cherish the memories. 2. Routines are great just generally. Also in the early days, making sure the child knows the difference between day and night is really useful in teaching them that nighttime is quiet time. The amount of friends who get their newborn baby up when it cries in the night and then play with it baffles me. The best hack is to treat your children and your spouse with the love, respect, and dignity you expect for yourself. And to as much as possible guide and lead rather than decree and enforce. All family dynamics flow from this principle in all settings. As for gimmicky things, for my early grade school age children, they are only asked to fully organize their room and playroom occasionally or before multifamily house parties. The playroom had a walk-in closet with a keyed doorknob. Anytime that they do not straighten up their toys as asked, there is no argument. They are given a final warning and then I simply clean for them. Dispassionately. Anything I pick up is bagged and goes into the locked closet until they earn it back through chores. This process forces compliance with cleaning and organizing requests, provides collateral for negotiation, and eliminates clutter they do not really care about. When the baby is nursing, fill a hot water bottle and put it in the crib or bassinet. Then then baby falls asleep at the breast, he or she won't be shocked awake by being put down on cold sheets. This is a small child hack that my mother discovered for me. I had shoved a pearl up my nose. You know, stuff that kids do. My mom was freaking out because she couldn't seem to reach it to pull it out. I was smiling at the time until my mother scolded me. Then I frowned. However, when she looked away, I smiled again. She gave me the look and I frowned again. This switching from smiles to frowns and back again slowly worked the pearl down and mom was able to reach it and pull it out. Reading this thread when my kid is napping. Gonna drop so many hacks on his ass when he wakes up, he'll wish I tightened his diaper better. When you feel like yelling, start singing instead. It helps you exert that extra little bit of energy without screaming. Saying peanut butter directly after swearing. I have a 6 and 4-year-old that have never repeated a cuss word. However, my friend's autistic daughter, 11, called me out on it immediately. I consider it an unmitigated success. Still, I don't see how this would work. My kid would just be wandering around saying "oh duck peanut butter." Man, I don't understand this. How does this work? For example, you would say "sht peanut butter." Or would you say "shti peanut butter?" Question mark. So the children won't ask me repeatedly to buy a new toy on any given shopping trip. I allow them to choose a store toy to keep them company for the duration of the visit. They care for it, typically while sitting in a shopping cart, and then bid it farewell in a goodbye ritual at checkout. Buy store toy. See you next time. They are sated after that and there is never drama. I started using the active listening approach with my preteen and it has totally changed our dynamic. Now when she is upset about something, I'll respond with something like "it sounds like you're really frustrated right now because of," and she will confirm it or say "no, I'm not frustrated, I'm feeling because of." It's become a really useful tool to have because we're fighting a lot less. She's feeling understood. And I finally feel like I'm understanding.